He thought he was just changing a flat tire. He didn't know he was about to change his entire future. The sun hung low over Baton Rouge, Louisiana, painting the sky in streaks of orange and purple. The heat from the pavement seeped through the soles of Elijah Bryant's sneakers as he walked the familiar stretch home from Lou's Diner, where he spent his evenings wiping down tables and refilling coffee cups for regulars. His shift had been long, his feet sore, but he didn't mind. A little extra cash in his pocket meant he could help his mum with groceries, and maybe, just maybe, put some aside for college, if that ever became a real option. But just as he turned onto Old Hammond Highway, something caught his eye. A black Mercedes S-Class sat motionless on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking in the dimming light. Next to it, an older man in a crisp white dress shirt and slacks struggled with a flat tire, his forehead slick with sweat. He looked completely out of place, like a man who had never changed a tire a day in his life. Elijah hesitated for a second. This wasn't his problem. He could just keep walking. But something about the scene pulled him in. He stepped off the sidewalk and approached cautiously. "You need some help, sir?" The man turned, startled. He was tall, probably in his 60s, with neatly trimmed silver hair and expensive cufflinks that seemed out of place in this part of town. His face was lined, the kind of lines that came from years of making tough decisions, not from hard labor. "Oh, yes," the man stammered. "I thought I could handle it, but—" He glanced down at the half-loosened lug nuts and the jack he had placed in the wrong spot. Elijah dropped his backpack, crouched beside the car, and assessed the situation. "You mind if I take over?" The man exhaled, relieved. "Be my guest." Elijah worked fast, his hands moving with the muscle memory of someone who had watched his uncle fix cars since he was a kid. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. He loosened the lug nuts, placed the jack correctly, and within 15 minutes the spare was secure. He wiped his hands on his jeans and stood up. "All set." The man looked at him in disbelief, then chuckled. "I spent 20 minutes struggling, and you did it in 15. You ever think about being a mechanic?" Elijah smiled. "Nah, just picked up a few things from my uncle. No big deal." The man reached into his wallet, pulling out a crisp $100 bill. "Here, take this, for your time." Elijah shook his head. "Nah, sir, just happy to help." For a moment, the man just stared at him, as if trying to figure him out. Then a small smile formed on his lips. "You don't see that kind of attitude too often anymore." Elijah shrugged. "Guess I was raised different." The man tucked the bill back into his wallet. "What's your name, son?" "Elijah." "Well, Elijah, I appreciate this, more than you know." With that, the man got back into his car and drove off, his taillights disappearing into the night. Elijah slung his backpack over his shoulder and continued walking home, thinking nothing of it. But the next morning, he would realize that small acts of kindness don't always go unnoticed. But what he didn't know was that his life was about to change in ways he never could have imagined. Elijah woke up to the smell of his mother frying eggs in the kitchen. The tiny house they shared was nothing fancy, a 2-bedroom rental on the east side of Baton Rouge, but it was home. The walls were thin, the floorboards creaked, and if it rained too hard, the leak near the front door would start again. He pulled on a t-shirt and headed for the kitchen, still groggy. His mum, Elijah Bryant, was standing at the stove, spatula in hand, her short curls pulled back with a scarf. She glanced at him as he sat down at the table. "You got in late last night," she said, flipping the eggs. "Yeah, had a long shift. Then I helped some guy with a flat on my way home," Elijah replied, stretching. She turned around, raising an eyebrow. "What kind of guy?" Elijah shrugged. "Some old dude with a Benz. Looked like he never changed a tire in his life." His mother set a plate in front of him and sat down. "And he just drove off. He tried to give me money, but I didn't take it. Teresa sighed, shaking her head. You're too much like your daddy, always trying to do right, even when you don't have to. Elijah didn't say anything. His father had passed when he was 9 years old, a good man who worked himself to the bone but never caught a break. Maybe his mum was right. But before he could take a bite of his eggs, a deep rumble filled the street outside. His mother turned toward the window. Who the hell is that? Elijah followed her gaze and froze. A black SUV was parked outside their house. Not just any SUV, a Cadillac Escalade, tinted windows so dark they might as well have been mirrors. It didn't belong on this block. Too new. Too expensive. Too out of place. The driver's side door opened, and a man stepped out. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a black suit. The kind of guy you see in movies. The kind that usually means trouble. Elijah! His mum's voice was low, serious. Do you know that man? No, he whispered. But then the man walked straight up their driveway and knocked on the door. Teresa stood up. Don't you move. She opened the door just a crack. Can I help you? The man didn't blink. I'm looking for Elijah Bryant. Teresa's body tensed. Why? The man reached into his coat. For a split second, Elijah thought he was pulling a gun. But instead, he produced a white envelope, thick and neatly sealed. No need to be alarmed, ma'am, the man said, his voice calm. This is for your son. Teresa snatched it from his hand, but didn't open it. Who sent you? The man paused. Then, with a small nod, he said, Mr. Richard Thornton. Elijah's stomach flipped. The name didn't ring a bell, but something about the way the man said it, the weight in his tone, told Elijah that whoever this Richard Thornton was, he was important. The man turned without another word, got back into the SUV, and pulled off as smoothly as he had arrived. For a long moment, neither Elijah nor his mother moved. Finally, Teresa shut the door and looked at him. Who the hell is Richard Thornton? Elijah had no answer, but as he reached for the envelope, his hands were shaking. Because deep down, he knew this wasn't just a thank you. Elijah's fingers trembled as he tore open the envelope. Inside was a thick, cream-colored letter, folded neatly. The paper felt expensive, the kind you don't find at a dollar store. His eyes scanned the page, and the words almost didn't make sense at first. Dear Elijah Bryant, yesterday you helped a stranger in need without expecting anything in return. That is rare. That is honorable. I believe in rewarding integrity. Consider this my way of saying thank you. The enclosed document grants you a full scholarship to any college of your choosing. Tuition, books, housing, everything covered. Your future is yours to shape. If you have any questions, my assistant will be in touch. Sincerely, Richard Thornton. Elijah read it twice, then a third time. He swallowed hard and reached into the envelope again. There was another paper inside. This one looked even more official. Some kind of legal document with signatures at the bottom. His mother snatched it out of his hand before he could even process it. Her eyes darted over the words, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief to something close to anger. Elijah! This ain't real, she said, shaking her head. What do you mean? She waved the letter. People don't just hand out college scholarships to strangers. Ain't nobody that generous without a reason. Elijah didn't argue. He didn't blame her for being skeptical. But before he could respond, his phone buzzed on the table. An unknown number. He and his mother exchanged a look before he hesitantly answered. Hello? Elijah Bryant. The voice on the other end was deep, professional. This is Richard Thornton. Elijah's throat went dry. I imagine you have questions, the man continued. I'd like to meet you, today. Somewhere public, of course. Elijah's mouth opened, but no words came out. His mother wasn't having it. She grabbed the phone from his hand. "Mr. Thornton, I don't know who you are or what you want, but my son—" "I understand your concerns, ma'am," Thornton said smoothly. "I only want to talk. The Louisiana State Capitol building. 1 hour. My assistant will be waiting for you at the entrance." Then the line went dead. Teresa slowly lowered the phone, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Elijah, I don't like this." "Neither do I," he admitted. But curiosity was eating him alive. A billionaire, a man he didn't know, had never heard of, was offering him a way out of a future he never thought he could afford, and he wanted to know why. But accepting the invitation might be the biggest mistake of his life. Elijah sat in the passenger seat of his mother's old Nissan Altima, gripping his knee as she drove. The Louisiana State Capitol loomed ahead, its white limestone tower stretching high into the sky. He had only seen it from a distance before, but today he was going inside, to meet a man who, less than 24 hours ago, had been just another stranger. His mother hadn't stopped fuming since they left the house. "I don't trust this," she muttered, her hands tight on the wheel. "Rich folks don't just hand things out for free. There's always a price." Elijah didn't argue. He just stared out the window, his mind running in circles. What if she was right? What if this wasn't what it seemed? The moment they parked, Elijah spotted a man in a navy blue suit standing near the entrance. He had that look, corporate, polished, serious. "That must be the assistant," Elijah mumbled. His mother turned off the car but didn't move. "We stay 10 minutes. If something feels off, we leave." Elijah nodded, and they stepped out. The suited man approached. "Mr. Bryant?" Elijah nodded again. "Right this way." They followed him inside, through the towering marble halls, up an elevator, and into a private conference room. The assistant opened the door, gesturing for them to enter. And there he was, Richard Thornton. The man sat at the far end of a sleek wooden table, tall, silver-haired, eyes sharp like he was always calculating something. His suit was expensive, his watch even more so. But what struck Elijah wasn't his wealth, it was the way he looked at him. Like he already knew everything about him. Teresa didn't sit. "Let's get one thing straight. I don't know what game you're playing, but—" Thornton raised a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. "No games, Ms. Bryant. Just an offer." She folded her arms. "Then explain it." Thornton leaned forward, lacing his fingers together. "Elijah, you helped me last night when you didn't have to. That tells me a lot about you. People who act selflessly, who do the right thing when no one's watching, those are the people I invest in." Elijah swallowed. "Invest in? How?" Thornton slid a folder across the table. "That scholarship is real. No strings attached. You can go to any college you want. But if you're willing to hear me out, there's more." "More?" Elijah's chest tightened. His mother's voice cut in sharp. "More what?" Thornton didn't blink. "I want to mentor you, introduce you to people who can change your life, help you build something for yourself, not just escape your situation but rise above it." Elijah's breath caught. Was this real? But his mother wasn't impressed. "Why my son? Out of all the kids in this city, why him?" Thornton's gaze didn't waver. "Because he reminds me of myself." Silence filled the room. Then Thornton continued, his voice quieter. "I grew up with nothing. Raised by a single mother. Worked odd jobs just to make ends meet. But someone took a chance on me. And that changed everything." Elijah's heart pounded. This man, a billionaire, was sitting across from him, saying he had been in the exact same position. Thornton exhaled. "You don't have to trust me today. Take the scholarship, go to school, and never look back. Or, you let me teach you how to build something bigger." Elijah looked at his mother. Her jaw was tight, her eyes full of distrust, fear, and something else. Hope. He looked back at Thornton. He had to decide. But was this an opportunity or a trap? Elijah's mind swirled with questions as he stared at the folder on the table. It felt like it weighed 100 pounds, a full ride to any college, no strings attached. And yet there was something about this that didn't sit right. His mother wasn't buying it. She leaned forward, her voice low but firm. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Thornton, but we don't know you. And where I'm from, when something seems too good to be true, it usually is." Thornton didn't look offended. If anything, he seemed amused. "That's a fair point," he said smoothly. "You don't know me, but you're right to be cautious. Because in my world, nothing comes without risk." Elijah felt a chill run through him. Thornton sat back, watching him carefully. "I won't sugarcoat it, Elijah. If you take this scholarship and walk away, I'll never contact you again. You'll go to school, get your degree, and live a good life." A beat passed. "But if you choose the other path, if you let me mentor you, you'll see things most people never see. You'll have opportunities others only dream about. But that life, it's not easy, and it's not always clean." Elijah's stomach twisted. He could hear what Thornton wasn't saying. This wasn't just about business or success. There was something else, something deeper. His mother shook her head. "So there is a catch." Thornton smirked. "There's always a catch." Silence filled the room. Elijah knew what his mother wanted, for him to take the scholarship and run, and he should have. That was the safe choice. But something about Thornton pulled at him. This man was offering more than just money. He was offering power, knowledge, access, the kind of things that changed lives. Elijah took a slow breath. His voice was quiet, but steady. "Why do I remind you of yourself?" For the first time, Thornton's smirk faded. He exhaled through his nose. "Because once upon a time, I was the kid sitting in that chair, being offered the same deal." Elijah's chest tightened. The man who had built an empire, who had people in black SUVs delivering letters to strangers, someone had done the same thing for him, and he had said yes. Thornton stood up. "You don't have to decide today. Take the folder. Think about it." Elijah hesitated. Then slowly, he reached across the table and took it. Thornton nodded. "When you're ready, you'll know how to find me." And just like that, the meeting was over. Elijah and his mother left the building, stepping out into the heavy Louisiana air. His mother let out a breath she had been holding. "I don't like this, Elijah." "I know," he said quietly. She turned to him, searching his face. "Promise me you won't let this man pull you into something you can't get out of." Elijah didn't answer right away, because the truth was, he wasn't sure. The scholarship was right there. A way out. A fresh start. But the other path, that was something else entirely. And as he looked down at the folder in his hands, he realized he had a choice to make. One that could change everything. And once he chose, there would be no turning back. Sometimes, opportunities come from the most unexpected places. But not every opportunity is what it seems. What would you do in Elijah's situation? Would you take the safe route or risk it all for something bigger? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that make you think.